So a couple of the key concepts to keep in mind are that when you're dealing with likelihood ratios, they are designed to combine both sensitivity and specificity into a single number. That number then can be multiplied by odds, but not by prevalence or pretest probability. A good concept that may help to keep it in mind is if we talk about something like a funny looking mole in the back of my hand. And if I say that that is, what do you think, Doc? Well, that's about a 10% chance that that's a cancer. But he says, woo, that makes me feel better. I got a big time family history, 2 brothers and a father or whatever. Oh, with a family history, that triples the odds that you've got cancer. To the layperson, we might think, oh, it goes from 10% to a 30% chance because it's 3 times as likely. But that's not how it works. Because if you think about it as, what if this mole was 50-50 probability? I say that's half a chance it's a cancer, half it isn't. Oh, well, I got a big family history that triples my odds. You can't go from 50% to 150% chance, okay? To do that, when we are talking about increasing the odds of something, you have to convert that probability or pretest prevalence, it's got lots of names, into odds, then multiply, then convert it back to probability, okay? Should I do the mole first? Was that easier and then go into the DVT?
The mole's
Or stay with
good,
DVT?
and then just
Stay with the mole one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that should be good.
So here's the mole one. So if I've got something that is a 1 out of 10 chance, a 10% chance that it's a cancer, that's the same as saying it's a 1 to 9 odds. If I said that it was 50-50, that's the same as 50-50 is the same as 1 out of 2 is the same as 1 to 1. Okay? All of those are saying the same thing. So 1 to 1 odds is the same as a 50% chance. 1 to 9 odds is the same as a 1 out of 10 probability. I'm going to multiply each by a triple risk factor. I go from 1 to 9 to now being 3 to 9. We multiply the numerator up here. We multiply the chances that they've got it, but the chances they don't stay the same. So 1 to 9 becomes 3 to 9. 1 to 1 becomes 3 to 1. 3 to 9 is 3 chances out of a total of 12 chances. So that's the same as 3 over 12, thank you, Pam, which is the same as 1 out of 4, which is the same as 25% chance. So I went from a 10% chance, triple the odds, took me to a 25% chance. 50-50 took me from 1 to 1 to 3 to 1, which is the same as 3 out of 4, 3 chances out of a total of 4 chances, which is the same as 75%. So I went from 50% chance, triple the odds, pushed me to 75% chance. Sounds crazy, but that's the way that odds work. So with our DVT case, when we have a 6% chance of having a DVT because of a Wells score of 1, that's the same as saying that there are 6 chances out of 100, which is the same as saying 6 chances it's a DVT versus, or 6 chances to 94 chances that they don't have a DVT. 6% is the same as odds of 6 to 94. Now I've got likelihood ratios, positive and negative. The positive likelihood ratio in this case was 1.6, and the negative likelihood ratio is 0.1. Little rule of thumb for you, what we generally consider a good likelihood ratio are numbers that are greater than about 10, and good negative likelihood ratios are numbers that are less than 0.1. So on a quick eye, I would say that's a pretty good negative likelihood ratio. It's not a very good positive likelihood ratio. How do I use it? I take 6 to 94 and I can multiply it. We're going to do it like this. LR positive and LR negative. I got a D-dimer test and it came back positive. So I multiply 1.6 times 6. That equals 9.6. There's now 9.6 chances that it's got a DVT. versus the same 94 chances it's not. 9.6 to 94 is the same as 9.6 chances out of the total. I've got to add these two. 9.6 plus 94, which equals 103.6. So 9.6 to 94 is the same as 9.6 out of a total of 103.6, and that equals 7%. So when my likelihood, my LR positive was 1.6, I went from a pre-test probability of 6% up to a whopping 7%. Bottom line, didn't help me to rule in the disease. On the negative side, it does help, because I go from, I multiply that 0.1 times my 6 chances. It's now 0.6 out of this 0.6 to 94. Same 94 chances that it's negative. Now it's a 0.6 chance that's positive, or that they have a DVT, which is the same as 0.6 over the total of 94.6, which equals 0. I think they round it to 0.5%, might be 0.6. It kind of depends on how you do your rounding. So now there's only a 1/2 of a percent chance. So here's an example of where a 6% pretest probability, if my D-dimer's negative, it really helped me to rule it out, made a DVT much less likely. A positive likelihood ratio didn't help me very much to say a DVT is much more likely. Okay? The other example, I'll keep on for just a minute more, when we've got the ultrasound, some may remember, it was like 20, the positive likelihood ratio was 20, and the negative likelihood ratio was pretty weak, it was like 0.3 or 0.4, something like that. Okay? So we can do that really quick over here. Let's do that on the side. We went from 6 to 94 times 20. It's now 120 to 94, which is the same as 120 over the total of, it's going to be 214. I can see just with an eyeball, it's a greater than a 50% chance. And I don't have my calculator, but a quick eyeball is going to say that's probably pushing 55% chance. Helped me a lot. I went from pre-test of 6% up to a greater than 50% chance that he's got a DVT. Negative likelihood ratio of 0.4, pretty crappy. Because I'm going to go from 6 to 94, multiply by 0.4 makes it now 2.4 to 94, makes it 2.4 over the total of 96.4, which is going to be roughly 3%. So didn't really help me much to rule it out. Clinically, that's why sometimes we order first a test that says, I've got to do the one that's going to help me best to rule it in with an easy ultrasound before I do a potentially expensive test like a D-dimer. Why bother doing it if I think my odds are so low? Or vice versa. Let me do a quick and easy D-dimer, because if it's negative, I'm done. I don't have to send my patient off across town to get an ultrasound and everything, because I think it's very, very unlikely down here. Okay?
You have been listening to